Well, this is our 2007 Escalade. The electric motor that moves the seat backwards and forward went out, so I bought a whole new assembly. And I'm going to be seeing if I can switch it out myself here, and I'll take a few recordings as I go along here. Well, the first thing I did is these plates. This one goes up here in the front, and then they have one on the back here. And this plate goes right here. I popped those off, and you can see in here there's these E-Torx nuts, I think, that hold the seat down. I'm going to take those out first if I can get to them. I may end up having to take this cover off. I think these will slip off, and then there's a screw up here in front, I think, and maybe one in the back. I'll check that out. So I found that if I raise the seat up, the motor that raises it up still works. So I found that if I raise that up, it gave me a lot more access to these bolts here. I'm not sure what this thing does. I think it holds the seat belt in. I'll probably have to take that off as well. So anyway, raising the seat up makes it a lot easier to get to those bolts. Okay, this nut here was an EP18 Torx nut, and it did undo the seat belt. I think I could pop this little cap off right here, and I might be able to just pull the seat belt out of the way. Okay, yeah, that thing just popped right out of there, and it just slipped right out like that. So that kind of gets the seat belt out of the way. Now this front one was a nut. That was an EP18, and this back one was a bolt. That's an EP14. So that came right out of there. All right, so here we are in the back behind the seat. This piece just kind of slides back out of here like that. And here's our other nut, and I'll get this one. We'll go up and get the front one. Looks like here's a connector I'll have to undo. Hopefully, once I open this and disconnect this and get these bolts off, I'll be able to tip this seat back and get it and take it out. Okay, so this was the cover over the electrical connector. Kind of lifts from the front, and you have to kind of twist it a little bit to get it underneath this bracket, but then this part, this little tab, slips out of this little slot here, and then you can kind of lift it away. And I think maybe, well, let me figure that out. All right, so you see these little tabs right here. You pinch one back on each side, and then you can lift this up, and then should allow me to pull this connector out. Yeah, just fold this lever all the way back, and then this comes right out. Okay, here's the front right. This little cap just snaps off. You can kind of see the other bolt here. I actually found out that I have to move this seat back to get to this bolt. So I was lucky enough that I get in here and put enough pressure on the backwards and hold the motor switch back. I was able to kind of push it back enough to get to this bolt. Well, this is another thing that I just discovered. It looks like there's some kind of retainer on here. I was trying to get my socket on, it wouldn't go, but it looks like there's a little retainer ring. I got to snap that off, and then I can get the socket on. All right. Well, the seat was just able to tip back real easy. I'll just kind of lift it off those back in that back area and see if I can wiggle it out of here. Then I can replace the mechanism. Okay, got it out. It was a bit of a struggle, but I was able to get it out. Now we'll just take the mechanism off and put the new one on. Well, I see a few things I'm going to have to move over. This holds down the other side of the seat belt. And you can see that'll go right here. Then I have some type of a sensor here that's got to be put over here somewhere. And then the main connector plate and this has to be moved over to here. And then I guess just unplugging and plugging in parts here, here and here. So it looks like it's going to take a little bit of work. The bolts, these studs right here, go in right here, and they're underneath the seat. So that looks like that could be a little bit tricky. And we'll see what we can do here. Took the two nuts off here, and then that just lifted out up out of the way real easy. Got these two little bolts here. I'll finish taking those out, but this piece will come right off, looks like. And then I'll have to squeeze this out, see if I can get that little bracket holder out. Well, let's see here. It looks like rather than having to take, let's see here, let me get this around. Rather than have to take this out, this whole plastic thing right here looks like maybe a wire way. Once I get this, the whole assembly off, I might be able to just pull this off and switch it over to the new assembly. So that looks like that should just snap off of there. So anyway, so I'll move on from there. And now I'm going to see if I can tackle these things, get back in here and get those nuts off. Yeah, you can see the nut on this one, on this bracket here. So I need to get into those somehow. I had to ended up having to take this cover off. It's pretty easy. They have the snaps on the back here and a couple of tabs kind of grab into some slots here. It's not too bad. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get to the back of this to get the nuts off of the back of these. Still trying to figure that out. Well, what I've done so far is I've tried to wedge these wooden sticks and some of these plastic, I don't know what plastic tools, and wedged it in there so I could squeeze the bottom of the seat up enough to get to the nut. We'll see if that works. This is probably the most challenging part of the whole thing. Well, I was able to get a wrench on it, and I can kind of keep working on it a little at a time. I think I might be able to get it off, but anyway, this is where we're at now. And you can see I've got this one undone. It actually helps pull the whole assembly back a little bit, so I got a little more room. So I'm going to go after this one right here, and I think once we get that one out, it's just a matter of moving all the wiring and everything over to the new assembly. And then the next trick is going to be getting the nuts back on the new one. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I ran into a little snag. This wire bundle right here that comes into this wiring harness was installed around this bar So the only way to get the darn thing out is to go through and unplug all of this stuff and disconnect the switches to be able to fish it down through that bar there. So why the heck they installed it like that, I do not know, but looks like I'm going to have to undo all the wiring. Well, I can't get to the clips under here, so I ended up having to take these off, which just get this little plastic thing that I snap off, and then I'm gonna have to take the screws out and take this whole panel off, it looks like, so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Man, looks like I'm ending up having to tear this whole seat apart. Finally got all the wiring undone. Had to take this whole thing apart. And now I'm hoping I can just push it all through that bar there and then start putting it back together. Well, it all came out. Man, this has turned into a much bigger job than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, start putting the new one back together. I've got it kind of back together now. Everything's plugged in. Got everything situated. It looks like it's going to go in. Now I need to tackle those bolts that go into the seat. So, getting closer. Okay, pretty much got it put together. These bolts right here, especially in the back, are a booger. I still need to put some nuts on those two right there, bolts. But I think I pretty much got it tackled here. Get some of the trim put back on. Now, I think I'm going to put it back on tomorrow. Put the seat back in the Escalade tomorrow. All done. Finally put back together. Let's see if it works. Holy moly, look at that. It's actually working. All right. Anyway, hope that helps somebody. It's a pretty big job, but it can be done.